Hello, everyone. This
Hello.
is Melinda Russell with Racing Girls Rock podcast, sponsored by the Women's Motorsports Network. And it's my pleasure today to have as my guest Jackee Moffett. I'm going to let her tell us more about herself in her own words because she can do a much better job than I can, I'm sure. So, Jackee, I want to welcome you to the show. And why don't we start first by just sharing with us a little bit about yourself, your family, where you live, anything that you want to share so our
hmm
listeners can get to know you better.
Well, thank you for having me on. I currently live in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm down from around the Goiner, Lisbon, Cogswell area, so about an hour and a half from where I'm from. So Fargo's kind of central for me to be able to do, the racing stuff. I have two kids. My daughter's 23 and my son is 21. So um, weird age to be navigating society right now for
Mm-hmm.
them, and trying to figure out how to navigate through society for all of us, I guess.
That's
Um,
true.
yeah, I I got my start. First of all, my dad used to race just pure stock cars. They're the cars that the guys leave on the trailer and then they just bring them out and they race them. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, grew up around the Lisbon track, Fargo track, um, and just kind of always, it was always in our family. We would go, different places as family. And Jackson, he used to run a sprint car for us up here, and for our family name. And I started working. I worked safety. Well, my background is I'm a paramedic by trade.
Okay.
Um, and I had some problems with my health. So I wasn't able to get back on the streets 100%. Probably a blessing right now because I don't know if I would want to be on the streets right now with the
Right.
way that everything is. But um, so we could sign up to go out to the racetrack, with the ambulance. So I started doing that. And then just started doing safety, out at the racetrack. I was the only girl at that time that was working safety. And just kind of, then our Fargo track shut down, which was devastating to our community. It's
Mm.
been a pillar here for a long time, and a lot of different classes and sanctions and all that go through there. Um, and when I was working safety, the Schatz family took it over, Danny and Diane Schatz. And I was working for them at the time. I was running their fuel island. So, they were trying to figure out different places that they could put everybody, and somebody nominated my name. I'm not sure who that is. I'd like to find them, but I got sent up to the tower, we call it, so, which is our scoring tower. And we run, software, two
Mm-hmm.
different kinds of software, two different companies, and we have to make them work together.
Mm.
So um, we worked really, really hard with the World of Outlaws and a gentleman that was retired at the time. And after 4 days, we finally got him to talk to each other like they were supposed to. And
Mm-hmm.
then when that chat closed down, um, I reached out to Callie Sullivan. She works with Wayzata Sanction, and I said I need to stay connected. What can I do? What can I do? So she was able to help me get through that. And since I was dedicated to certain tracks, some weeks, some, I've pretty much done everything. So
Mm-hmm.
now I've just kind of taken a step back and be able to train new timing and scoring people, or even to be on the other end of the phone when a season timing and scoring official is there, because you're under, you are responsible to make that show go. And if you can't, sometimes you just get caught up in the moment and it's a simple. So I can log into their computers, or most times I can, just walk them through something, be the calm that they need during that
Yeah.
situation. Yep. So
Yeah, because if that's not working and you've got all the people in the stands and the drivers and everybody, and they're all like, crazy almost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're the one in charge, then that makes you crazy too. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they need that calming voice that you provide for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still go. I was trying to take a step back from, actually doing the timing and scoring, but we're having a really hard time in dirt track racing, I'm sure, with everything. Finding people,
Hmm.
dedicated. It's not a thing that we take lightly. I mean, we want
No.
to have a staff, we want to have a core group of, you know, so infield to backfield, and as long as the fans are having a good time and they don't know that there's anything wrong,
Yeah.
that's all we want. But it
Right.
it gets hard. There's a lot going up in that scoring tower, a lot going on.
Yeah.
Uh, you're listening to two different radio channels. You're watching two different screens. You're making sure that it's out on MRP, different kinds of things like that. And so you really have to, I don't know if it's just growing up with it, or your brain can work all those different functions
Hmm.
at the same time. So, and that's hard for some
It is
people.
hard. That's a lot of multitasking
Hmm.
at the same time. And
Hmm.
it takes someone who can process things quickly, and it also takes someone who can stay calm.
Yeah.
Because if you get rattled and you get behind or something, then it's all over but the crying. And so I
Hmm.
think it really takes a personality of someone who is calm and can walk through it and realize
Hmm.
that it's probably something easy most of the time, but
Yeah.
when you get flustered, it's hard to rationalize what's happening.
Yeah. I haven't always been the calm voice on the other end of the radio for the guys, but um, I can take some criticism and say I'm sorry. So you have to be able to do that as a female in this group. But we try and stand up. I mean, women in dirt track racing, huge, blowing up huge. We have tons and
Yes.
tons of girls, women, you know, and it's sure fun to see them come up from
Hmm.
the tiny little classes to if they move up to the higher classes. But
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching that kind of stuff and advocating for us, because a lot of times we are the ones putting on the show and making everybody, look good.
Yeah.
And we are usually the last ones to leave the racetrack.
Hmm.
And we still have to work all week on what happened at that race.
Yeah.
So, and just get ready for and then you just keep doing it all over again. But um, I know that it's a very daunting, scary task for these new timing and scoring people, and I want to kind of protect them. I don't want to come in there and say I know how to do everything, but
Yeah.
I want to be like a coach for them.
Hmm.
Um, and it's good for them to see that some nights I screw up,
Yeah.
and that's okay. We'll just
Right.
deal with it, and then we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Um, so
Because
you really
nobody's perfect, and
no.
things happen and you get distracted or whatever it might be that
Hmm.
causes that. And even as the drivers, yes, I know they probably get upset, but they have to also understand that that's a tough job, being up in that timing and scoring, and they can't see everything. And from being a fan and watching races, and I can think of a few times when my granddaughter got bumped or hit or whatever
Hmm.
happened, and they missed it, and you're just
Hmm.
furious. But the
Right,
problem is
right.
that I'm only watching her, and that's
Yeah,
the only thing I'm doing. And
yeah,
so I'm not watching two screens and listening to all the chatter and everything. And
yep.
so I try to remember that those people are doing the best that they can,
Hmm.
and things happen, and then you just have to go on.
Yeah, and we are human. We're only as good as the equipment we stand behind or sit behind.
Hmm.
Um, but I welcome I welcome anybody to come up to a timing and scoring tower. Come on up.
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
what we do. I guarantee that they will have a new appreciation for it, or it will get them involved in wanting to help. Maybe,
Right.
usually when I'm called in to fill in or train, it's it's a hard job some days. You know,
Yeah.
I usually ask, are you having any problems at the racetrack that I should be aware of? Because it's a lot of pressure. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I do get a lot of calls.
Yeah.
Um, but I've worked really, really hard for this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, I never charged for it. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't have support right now um, on our race nights, which just how does that even happen, right?
I don't know.
So we just have to have we have a really good core working relationship between the time and scoring, you know. And if I don't know something, I just tell them I have no idea. I've never
Yeah.
seen that, and we're just gonna have to check into it. But have you heard of MRP before? My Race Pass?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah, we went down there when we used to use SpeedNet, so we had to have them make my Race Pass work for Wyzota and IMCA, and it was really an honor to go down there and be
Mm-hmm.
able to sit there because our rules are our rules and we understand them,
Right.
but how they understand them and how they make them work on the backside doesn't always, you know, they're a coder and we're an end user. So to
Right.
us, we're just, you know, why can't you get that? How hard is it?
Yeah.
And, you know, so it was nice to be able to go there, sit there, fix something, do something, go back and fix it. And I mean, my race pass is just really, really taken over the field here.
Yeah. They're top-notch people.
Yeah.
I used them for a while for my website, and then it got to the point where I needed it to do some things that they didn't have the capability at the time to do. But
Hmm.
they're one of our, talk about them. We have their logo and
Hmm.
things because I love those guys there. They were great. I love what they're doing because it just makes it so nice to be able to follow drivers and that.
Yep.
And I think they're an outstanding company. So
Well, and
absolutely.
yeah, it's we really try. You know, we have some tracks they they don't like to use technology, and that's okay. But if they sit and see all of the benefits that are,
Hmm.
you know, you look at some of them, they don't even have their picture attached to them.
Right.
And, you know, their articles, if somebody writes an article for them, can get tagged. There's a lot more information on it than just the timing and scoring part
Oh
of it.
yeah.
Yep. But we've only had one time when the system went down, and you can ask Josh, it wasn't a very fun night for him.
I'm sure not. I'm sure not.
But they were able to shut down some areas that weren't using it, you know, out on the East Coast and stuff. So I don't know if he was actually racing or if he was running a race. I can't remember, but um, he says it won't happen again. So I trust
Yeah.
him. But it's nice to have those guys in your back pocket too. The
Absolutely.
higher ups that you can say, listen, I need to talk to somebody. And a lot of us have, you know, their cell phones, which is nice too. But
Right.
um,
And the fact that you went there and met them in face to face makes a huge difference because
yeah,
now when you call, they really know who you are, and that makes a big difference.
and even if I don't leave a message and they call, like I called on a Saturday and I was like, what the? It's Saturday. Nobody's going to be there. But they called me back Monday because they know my number.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's really nice to have that. And, you
Yeah.
know, they're really good about saying we don't know either. Um, I don't have enough time to get into the fantasy part of it. I mean, I'm sure I do, but I got a lot of other stuff going on. So,
Yeah.
their timing and scoring and the stats. I use their stats quite a bit actually. So
Yeah,
um,
and as a race fan, and I follow hundreds, if not thousands of women, honestly, I can, if somebody texts me and say, "Hey, Melinda, Chloe's racing tonight at such and such a track," then I
mhm.
can keep up with what she's doing without
Yeah,
being there.
yeah,
And that's a nice thing too for me because there's no way I can keep track of all these women unless they tag me or send
Yeah.
me a note or something. And I love
Mhm.
my race pass for that too. I can, or
Right.
if I'm out of town and my granddaughter's racing, I can
Mhm.
I can find her and I can keep up with what she's doing. So
Yeah.
whoever invented that technology or thought up
It
that, it's
it
good.
was SpeedNet in the beginning, and then one
Okay.
of our pillars passed away, and then my race pass took it over, Speedway Motors, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and I joke with Josh a lot, about it, but and then we have you probably watched Race Monitor
Yes.
before.
Yes.
We have tracks that still use both.
Yeah.
Some people already have paid for a subscription. It's not much, but I like Emma Pre just because everything is right there, the
Yeah.
lineups. The only thing I don't like about it is if we have to change a lineup, it doesn't alert the guys. We have to basically chase them all down, or they just have to be mad.
Oh,
Um, but we didn't have that technology with SpeedNet either. We're
no.
looking into being able to set up a text
Oh,
where we
yeah.
send it out to the guys saying, "Hey, the lineups change," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it does. Somebody comes in late. It does. Somebody's transponder change. It just happens.
It does.
So, um, but there are those guys that we joke around with. Like, here you are, 5:58, and draw cutoffs at 6.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
you call me? But you have to really learn to navigate a lot of the good old boys club too, you know.
Yeah.
But
For
I think
sure.
if you get down in the dirt with them and show them that you're just not timing and scoring. I've changed toilet paper. I was assistant flag person in Jamestown for a year. The only position I really haven't done is teching, and I really don't want to be a tech.
No,
I think they have it way worse than timing and scoring because
I agree.
man, you better know what you're doing if you're going to DQ somebody or something like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I would not want that job either, for sure.
yeah, yeah, and a lot of our guys, when it's winter time up here, they travel south. You know, a
Mm-hmm.
lot Arizona. They're down there, and they use it for both testing, and a lot of them win. You know, like
Yeah.
Ricky used to run with Wayzata forever.
Okay.
Um, Ricky Wise, and now he was in the World of Outlaws, and now he's chasing his own tail. So, um, it's nice to have uh, the racers in that have been in many different sanctions because you can call them and say, "I don't understand this. What does it mean?"
Right.
Um, because we just have to. There's just so much, and
Yeah.
there's so many women behind the scenes that don't. Um, we
Nobody knows that they're there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know where racing's going to take us. I mean, you watch NASCAR with all the big screens, and I know the Chili Bowl is like that too. So I can see where, besides basically the guys drawing to get their placement.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've ran a race here in Fargo that was happening in Greenbush.
Really?
Because we were pushing weather, and that's another thing when I fill in. I'm usually traveling farther than most, and it's should I come, and then with the possibility of turning around, and
Coming
we
right
know,
back home.
yep. So I had the transponder girl there, and she handled the draw like a pro, and I made the lineups and all that, and show went on. So
That's pretty cool to know that
yeah,
you were able to do that.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun.
What's your favorite thing about being involved in motorsports?
I guess just a camaraderie. It's when the guys come, you can joke around with them. You know their personalities. You know some of them that are going to give you a hard time or not give you a hard time. Um, and just the vast size of racing.
Hmm.
There's people that I talk to that I've talked to maybe for, 10 years, and I've never met them in person.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just that massive, you know.
it is.
And I think that it, they might have different rules, but our equipment is basically run the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have Facebook sites that are there for people that are out on their own saying, I need some help.
Mm-hmm.
So we watch that too, but most of the time, um, we can get to them to help them with the
Yeah.
fill-in and stuff like that. But it's pretty daunting. You really have to protect them,
Yeah.
like I said before, and let them know that if you're training them on something new, that you're not gonna leave until they're ready.
Yeah.
And of course, the first night that they think they're ready, it all
Something
hits the
happens.
fan. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm just a phone call away, or I've been sitting in the stands many times with my dad. My dad goes to the races a
Yeah.
lot with me. He does most of my driving. Um, and it's very hard to sit in the stands with a fan.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. I try and I try. And sometimes, it'll be Jackee Moffett to the scoring tower, please. And I know that something they need help with something or an extra hand. So,
Yeah.
um, and we all try and do that for each other. So
Right.
that's really cool.
That's the thing about racing that I think a lot of other sports, which, racing's a totally different deal anyway. But,
Hmm.
um, when something goes wrong with a car or in the scoring tower or the hot dog machine broke or whatever it is, everybody jumps in that can help. They jump in to help.
Right.
And especially on the track, they might be tough competitors,
Hmm.
but if the car breaks or they need something, most other racers are willing to help to get that guy back or girl back on the track, because we're just all there to make racing better for the
Yeah.
fans and to have fun if we are
Hmm.
the guy or gal racing. And so you see it in other sports, but it's not the same. You
Yeah.
know, the when the when Damar Hamlin just got hurt, yes, everybody
Hmm.
rallied around,
Yeah.
but in most situations, you don't see that happening in other sports.
Yeah. And it is really, I mean, it is a dangerous sport. Safety
It
is one of
is,
my other passions. And we try and make it as safe, as we can. We pray to God that the equipment that they have works.
yeah,
I can tell you that I know some of the fans, they like the accidents and the rollovers and the drama. But for me, when they do that, I'm holding my breath. It
yeah,
doesn't matter who it is, because
right,
I just want to know on the radio, is this guy okay? And then move on.
yeah,
And you get attached to them if somebody doesn't show up. Where are they at this week?
yeah,
Are they okay? Do they need something? We've had so many iconic people in our racing community pass away this year.
yeah,
So it's been a lot of loss. And I think come spring, we're all going to be maybe a little bit nicer, because the loss has been so much. I thought
hmm,
that the world of racing would get a little bit nicer in general with just fans
yeah,
after COVID, but it seems to be uh, a little bit. It depends upon where you go, but
yeah.
I can tell you that, and I'm sure our race car drivers step on racing dirt. They're completely different people
Oh, yeah,
from right. They are, and you have to keep that in mind when something happens. If they're upset with you, you have to
yeah,
understand. And I usually tell them, I'll talk for 2 minutes. You can talk for 2 minutes, and we're going to be done with this. If we have to talk about it more, we'll talk about it, during the week, but not
right.
right now, because I'm mad.
And
You're
you're
mad.
mad, and you get nothing accomplished when
Right.
everybody's upset. That's
Yes. And
true.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
um, but I, my kids, I used to work at the fuel island. Then I come home and do my racing stuff. So my kids used to really love being involved in it.
uh huh,
Uh, not so much anymore. Just because I think it pulled, as a single parent, so it really pulled me away. But
Yeah.
I wasn't able at that time to um, make racing my job.
Right.
Um, and it still, to me, really isn't a job.
No, not when
Um,
you love what you're doing.
yeah, I mean, there are some weekends by the end of the year, you're just like, oh, what it just rained, you know?
I
But
know.
then we want to go back so bad, and which I think I love all the streaming services. I
Yeah.
don't like the amount that it costs.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, you're saving money. But it is so nice. And we all know we're watching a race maybe at home or at the racetrack, and we're watching another one, right, on our phone.
Hmm.
Or I try
Yeah.
and be as present as a fan as I can, but it doesn't really work for me either. So,
No, and when the streaming services first started, there was a lot of controversy with track owners because they thought it was going to take money out of their pocket.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
I get that. But typically I think that if um, a fan is able to go to a race, a local race, they're going to go.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
not going to sit home and watch. Like, I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm not going to sit home and watch the Kalamazoo races.
right, yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm going to go because there's
yep,
nothing like being there. But if
mhm,
I'm traveling and I'm in Daytona and they're
mhm,
doing something in Kalamazoo, then yes, I want to be able to see what's happening there.
mhm,
And I think that many of the track owners have now come to the realization that it has helped them. You know, I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of racing podcasts,
mhm,
and one of the things that I hear from several of the people that are on there is that if, like, for instance, let's just say Oxford Speedway out east, if they have very good racing, and I live in Michigan, I'm not
mhm,
going to just take a chance and go out there for the Oxford 250, right?
right, right. It's a
But
lot on the line.
exactly,
When,
but now that I've heard about it and I know about it and I know what kind of race it is,
mhm,
it's the kind of thing that my husband and I might take a trip and just make sure that that's one of the things we do.
yeah,
So in that
right,
respect, I think it's probably helped tracks that have good racing and are good promoters. And
mhm,
yeah, I don't like the price either because there's so many of them now and
yeah,
they all do something different. And you get, I have women that I could have every streaming service
yeah.
and watch those women, and it just gets too expensive.
Yeah, you
But
got to
it's a
pick
it's
one that is going to have the races that you want to see, and then maybe
yeah,
splurge.
right.
Um, uh, but I can attest to that as far as one of my mentors, she was so against even putting the timing out there for everybody to see or streaming. And
Yeah,
I said, what is the difference if you're getting the money now or later? Because they already bought the service.
right.
So it's already guaranteed. And I don't know what the services even do here with our track promoters. I have no idea. The
Yeah,
less I know, the better
yeah.
when it comes to that stuff. Um, I
For
don't want to,
sure.
but I can appreciate. It's no different than watching volleyball or
No,
football. Really,
no.
I mean, I have a niece that plays volleyball for New Haven, and if I can watch her matches from here, I would be very disappointed. You
Right.
to just and a lot of those services are free,
Yeah.
but um, can you remember paying $4.99 for a service?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I wish that some of the services that make you pay for a whole year maybe didn't make you pay for a whole year. Maybe you could
Yeah.
pick 6 races or something like that.
Right.
Um, but I know they're in it for making the money too. But I don't know if the tracks are on you, but we don't use those services when it comes down to making rules or changing anything.
Yeah.
Um, because we're not football. We can't,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
challenge it.
Yeah.
All we can do is say, you know what, it happened in the split of a second. and we'll try harder next time.
Yeah.
And I think if you give them that, they really enjoy it. But
Yeah.
the racetrack that I was helping last year, Bemidji Speedway, they have so many women racing in their track.
Really?
Yes, I think it's actually the track that has the most female, and a lot of them are high schoolers. Um,
Oh.
one just got her driver's license, and she's been racing, um, and it's a female owner promoter.
Huh.
So
Now,
it
what
just
track was that again, Jackee?
Bemidji Speedway.
Okay.
hmm And it's a really tiny track, but they have on an average of 80 cars a night,
Wow.
and the
That's
stands
good.
are in and then the stands are packed. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, this little gem of a racetrack is out here,
Uh-huh.
and I just really enjoyed getting to know them, and I'm going to go back there this year for some time. But um,
I'm going
you
to
know,
check into that.
yeah, you
And
do. I have some names that
okay.
I can get you to.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and without I'm not exactly sure how many we have in our sanction for Wayzata, but um, uh, we it's a lot, you know.
Yeah. And
And
it
I love
grows. It's growing.
yes,
There'll be even more this year, you know?
hmm
It
and
just
I
keeps
love
growing.
I love the ones that we can teach to be tasteful, um,
Yeah.
but still set our priorities,
Uh-huh.
um, and our boundaries. We're women. We're gonna set our own boundaries. We're gonna set our
Yeah.
own, for us. And it's just nice to have the rest of us in the field so
Mhm.
that we can take them around there and say, maybe you didn't handle that so well, but
Yeah.
you know, and not do it in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Um, that's with all of our younger drivers, but it really is fun to see these kids getting back into it.
Oh, yeah, for
We
sure.
have to engage them. Um, you
Yeah.
know, if you think of baseball games, they do events in between. We're like, I need 5 minutes. Somebody fill it
Yeah,
for me.
exactly.
You know, and they're usually pretty good about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know what, Jackee, I can tell by talking to you that you are very passionate about motorsports and about what you do. And I love seeing that because um it's too bad we can't share our passion with more people who
Mhm.
not only to come and watch but also to help, to learn
Yeah.
timing and scoring and to learn to be a flag person and
Mhm.
whatever it might be because I don't know about you but I'm not getting any younger and
Right,
so
right. I'm
we
trying to pull back too, but it just never.
yeah,
I can't.
yeah,
So
and so we have to encourage women who love racing to get more involved as more than just a fan. And if they love racing and they want to help out, all they have to do is ask.
right.
I'll bet you there's not one track that if you ask, hey, do you need some help in any area, whether it
Mhm.
be taking tickets or doing whatever? And I bet there's hardly a track that doesn't need some kind of help.
Yes, for sure. And on our big events, I mean, we have 2-day shows. We have
Yeah.
our 100 is, many days, Tuesday through Saturday, and um, so any little place we can sick somebody, whether
Hmm.
it's running to get us paper at Walmart
Right.
or cartridges or tape. Um, and you want when those younger people are doing it, you really want to make a big deal of
Oh,
them
yes,
helping you. That generation needs that validation.
they do.
Um, But I think it really empowers them to be like, I did that,
Right.
and then they want to do something new, and then usually we'll catch on to where we might see that they're a good fit at a
Uh-huh.
racetrack,
Yeah.
whether it's concessions or timing and scoring or you know um, so you have to be able to see those
Yeah.
things happening too. It's nice to be able to be a competition director, if they want to call it that, or just to come and watch to see if you
Uh-huh.
can make things better, work for them better.
Right.
Or they're struggling with something. So the announcers are really good at mentioning how hard we work because
Yeah.
they're usually sitting right next to us.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that's
And
not an easy job either, being the
no,
announcer.
no,
So,
I could never, you
I
know.
mean, I probably could do that job, but it's a lot and it's
Hmm.
constant from the
Hmm.
time before the races start, and it's constant. And so
Yeah.
you
And
know, th-
we have to stay connected with them. We have to
right,
tell them who our sponsorship that night is. He lets us know who, the sponsorships are on a certain car that's coming out. So
right.
they do their back work too.
Hmm.
And
They don't just show up to the track and jump in. They have to
right,
learn the
right.
names and
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah, and how to
And there's
pronounce them.
yeah, there's certain announcers that you just love. They're
Yeah.
fun to listen to.
Yeah.
It's like, where does that stuff come from that they can just throw out of nowhere? Um, but yeah, it's everybody from the
Hmm.
ticket takers to
Yes.
the concessions workers. Just
Yeah.
many people wear many many hats.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and I hope it continues to grow. I hope we see more tracks open up. I hope we see our car count come back up.
Right.
Stuff like that.
I
So
do too.
now
Yeah.
the weather, we've had a really bad winter. Well, not really bad, but for us, there's, significant more snow. And back in the day, we used to open our tracks up and
Yeah.
the frost come up and dry up. And we can't do that now with the transponder loop, Melinda, because
Yeah.
it's 14 inches down.
Right.
You hit that loop, one little tiny thing, is going to mess with our
Yeah.
equipment, and
Yeah, because
it's
honestly, in the
different.
month of January, I mean, it would have been chilly to sit
Hmm.
out, but it wouldn't
Yeah,
have been horrible. I mean, people sit out and watch football in this kind of weather in
yeah.
Detroit or wherever. Um, yeah, so but in the month of January, we didn't have any snow. I mean, a little snow. We have maybe an inch or two on the ground right
Oh,
now, but the guy that runs Berlin Raceway, which is just north
hmm.
of me, Jeff Striegel. He is an announcer for a motor racing network, and he also runs the Berlin track. And he said, "Dang, we could have raced every Saturday in January,
Yeah, yeah,
and there would have been people there. I
yeah.
guarantee it." But
Hmm.
you can't do it if there's a lot of snow on the ground for sure or
Yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
it'll be
and
here
be.
before we know it.
I know that's what I have my list of things, and I keep thinking, I've got time. I work really good under pressure, but I don't want to have to do that this year. So I'm
Yeah,
trying to get ahead of things and get onto it. But
right.
I usually let the guys know. I'll be letting them know this week. Here's your get ready list. Can you please do this for me? Because the more you do ahead of time,
Yeah,
the nicer I'm gonna. The more time we'll have to visit.
yeah,
Let's just say that. But
right.
yeah, everybody's getting really itchy, even though it's only January.
Yeah,
We have tracks that schedule things in April and
yeah.
May.
Oh yeah, they'll
Um,
start in April here in Michigan.
yeah,
Yeah,
here we won't, but the year that you don't put it down on your schedule, you could have raced.
right. And
So,
that could be that they start the middle or third week of April here, and it could
hmm,
rain every weekend for a month, or
yeah,
it could be too cold to actually do it. But they put it on the schedule, in case we do have that unusual
hmm,
spring where it's nice.
yeah. I know when Dad and I traveled down to Arizona there to watch the races at the Arizona Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was so surprised I was thinking it was going to be like hot all the time. And I mean, I told Dad, good thing I brought my sweatshirts because
Yeah,
it was beautiful in the day. And
right.
then right around afternoon, it got chilly.
Oh, when that
And
sun goes down. So I
yes.
was actually just there for 2.5 weeks. My youngest two daughters live in Arizona, and I was out there.
Hmm.
I just came home on Thursday, And today they had a freeze warning. It was in the 30s. They're probably freezing to death. But when I was out there, I had my crop pants and my flip flops
Yeah.
on, and my daughters had on their jeans and their flannel shirts, because they're not
Hmm.
used to it. But no, it was very unusually cool for this time of year out there. It was in the
Was it?
50s and 60s most days.
Well, I know
Um,
I saw a lot of big jackets and even some cover
yes.
ups on the TV. So,
Absolutely. So
hmm
you just never know, but that's a great place to go and watch racing, for sure, out
yeah,
out in that area. So
yeah. Rain is seems to be the thing that gets us the most. I mean, I I get in the conversations with the promoters. Do you think we should cancel? Not, and I
I
could
know.
not want to make that decision. I
No,
wouldn't want to be them at all.
no, I don't.
Because you're going to be damned if you do, damned if you
That's
don't.
right. And I
And
would never want to be a track owner ever.
yeah.
I admire people that take it in stride, a lot of it, because they have to
Yeah.
have a tough skin, because no matter
Yep.
what they do, somebody's going to be complaining about it.
Mhm.
And they're not the ones that are paying for all the expenses that lead up to the race. There's
Yeah.
so many things, that concession stand's got to be full of hot dogs and buns, for instance, and those
Yeah.
buns aren't going to last forever. And it's just, it's a tough job. And
Yeah.
they have to be tough skinned if they're going to own a track or be a promoter, for sure.
Yeah, and they really have to rely on, some of them don't even wear radios during the races. They're just like, I have my people in place,
Yep.
and if it doesn't happen, that person that was supposed to be in charge of them, I'll have a conversation with them.
Right.
But
Right.
if they were trying to listen to the chatter that we were doing, so and so needs Gatorade up at the stands, or
Yeah.
um, I think it would be very difficult too. And
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in doing that. I did some marketing
Uh-huh.
for River City Speedway. I didn't enjoy that position either. I
Yeah.
wasn't with the guys. I mean, I just didn't have any
No interaction with the drivers.
no, and it's so hard to talk to these sponsors,
Yeah. It
But
is.
now that we have a little bit more data, we can give them, this
Some
is how many
statistics.
people. Yeah, that's basically what companies want,
Yeah, they
and
do.
and and we want to get ahead of that
Yeah, for
before they
sure.
make their money for their next fiscal year, or
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, we lost that sponsorship,
Yeah,
you know.
that's
So
true.
there's so many pieces. I have a girlfriend in Canada, and I say, um, I just say, we should just write something. But Facebook is not a thing to the younger generations anymore.
Not as
I
much.
mean,
They're on
it's
Instagram.
Instagram,
Instagram and
and
TikTok.
you better have all that stuff linked together, because
Yep,
you're not gonna,
you're
you
right.
have the older drivers that are still on Facebook,
Yeah,
and you have the younger generation that uses Instagram and TikTok, and
yeah,
we have to be able to, you know, learn those programs, which are hard for us.
yeah,
For me, anyways, I usually have to ask somebody, my kids.
yeah,
Um, and my kids say, Mom, we just can't believe that you can't do this stuff. Like, you do all your racing stuff,
yeah.
and different brain that,
I know. I get it. I totally get it. And, every time you turn around, there's something new that you're like,
yeah,
oh, should I get involved in this or that? But it is,
yeah, yeah,
that's just
yeah.
so.
It, but we try and just, figure out what we can do for the track
Yeah,
that we're at, and try and explain something and help them work through, you know.
yeah.
Just like, for instance, I know if you've been at those tracks, we have our receiver so we can talk to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in this day and age, they don't have wireless earbuds. And I just keep thinking that
Oh,
is the craziest thing, you
yeah,
know. Um,
yeah,
so there's technology that's still back
yeah,
that we need to come forward, and some
for
that we're
sure.
so far ahead that we're over our heads.
Yeah,
So we need that fine line,
yeah.
and but it's just, I really want to get to traveling some more for
Hmm.
fun.
Yes.
Um, but I get sucked into some things
Helping.
sometimes, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the one place, I have a terminal liver autoimmune disease, and it's, my mom wants me to slow down and everything, and it's the one place that I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at
Hmm.
exactly what time, and that all just kind of melts away. And
Well, and
I'm
it's kind of your happy place where you can forget
yeah,
about that and enjoy
hmm
the racing, and that's
yeah,
important.
yep. And everybody's been so gracious, and they'll bring my stuff up to the tower or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just told her I'm gonna do it as long as I can do it, as long as I can get there.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know what my future will hold going
Yeah.
forward after that. Hopefully, I'll be able to stay connected in some direction.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah. So, but um, I think the more podcasts, the more uh, pages, the more anything we can do for women, especially women,
Hmm.
um, I think is needed. And
Yeah.
like I said, I've been seeing a lot more of them be
Yes.
more professional, be more classy.
Yeah.
Because some of them you just want to say, just don't do it that way, you
Well,
know?
I think at first, I mean, there's always been women involved, but to the
Hmm.
point now where there's so many, I think a few years ago when it was starting to get a little more popular for women, I think they felt like they had to be one of the guys. They had to blend in.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they had to maybe talk a little rougher or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
race a little rougher, all
Yeah.
those things. And I think now that there's so many women and girls involved that they see that they have each other for
Hmm.
one thing, and
Hmm.
the men are more used to women being involved because
Yeah.
that was the other thing. The men weren't used to it either. And so,
Hmm.
well, she's a girl, I'm going to run her into the wall, or I'm going to,
Yeah.
threaten her when I get out of the ray or out of the car or
Yeah.
whatever. And I
Yeah.
think that they realize now that we're here to stay and there's
Yeah.
so many more of us that they better join in and be appreciative that really the women are helping to keep some of these racetracks going. And so,
Hmm. And
um,
I just love when I see you see somebody wreck and they fist pump the person that wrecked them. I mean, people want to see the fighting. They want to
they
see that,
do.
and you can be at odds with somebody, but do it on the racetrack and
Yeah.
make it a good race, and not, just, you don't have to destroy somebody
Right.
to, you know, um, and I think the women that are gonna and girls getting into it, they know their car. They're not just getting in a car.
Right.
They know the car,
They
which
do.
I think is great too. Because then,
Yeah.
we can go to them, us older seasoned people, and say, "Gosh, that was really great. Did you
Yeah.
change something?" And we're not going to know probably what they're talking about, but it's the, you know,
Encouragement.
yeah, I saw
Encourage.
you. I saw what
Right.
you did tonight. I saw you had a tough night. I saw you had a great night.
Right.
And just the rooting them on, and they're getting pretty
Absolutely.
dang competitive up
They
here. I
are.
mean, it's
Wow.
something.
I was just at the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club banquet. It was sold
Hmm.
out. There were
Saw
400
that.
people there. And some of the little girls, I'm talking 18 and under.
Hmm.
There was a lot of them. And
I
one
know.
little girl in particular that I've been following for quite a while, Camille, she won like 5
Yeah.
awards. And
Yeah.
and so it's fun to see those girls
Yeah.
grow and succeed and all
Yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
know when I see them, it seems like with Facebook, it is really getting, you're always with the same people that you've been
Yeah.
talking to, right?
Yeah.
Um, but if I see them do something like that, I'm always sharing their posts, breaking barriers, because
Yeah.
we're coming for them. You
Right.
know, the first time I see a female win a national titleship or something like that, I,
Yeah.
I just can't wait for them. I
Right.
can't wait for them. So
Well, Jackee, it's been great talking to you. I know we had some issues getting together, but we
it's
finally
okay.
managed to
We're
do
both
that.
hard to get a hold of.
We are,
Hub.
we are. And I was traveling, and that didn't make it any easier. So, but I
It's okay.
appreciate your time and sharing what you do and your passion for motorsports. I think it's important that we let people hear your voices about what you do and why you do it, and
Hmm.
that. And so that's why I do this, is to tell your story. And so I
Yeah.
just want you to know I appreciate your time. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to share before we go?
Not really. Only that we're human too. We're just sitting behind a computer screen, and we really want the best for everybody at our racetrack,
Yeah,
including fans. Um,
absolutely.
we need to start doing some. I feel we need to start doing some things with all these mass shootings and
Hmm.
mass casualties. I think that our tracks are going to have to, or tornado. We're
Yeah,
going to have to start looking at those. What are we going to do if this happens? Type of
right.
issue. Um, Unfortunately, that really sucks in our world, and I can't imagine anybody doing that at one of our events or any of dirt track racing events. But you just
You
don't
just
know.
don't know.
And
No,
we need to know, as officials or track workers or volunteers, we need to know what we're supposed to do in these. I can tell you
right.
what I would do. I would just lay down.
Yeah.
But
But
I know I've
you need
got
a plan.
responsibilities. Yes, I have
The tracks need a
responsibilities.
plan.
Yes,
And I've, you know what? I've thought about that more often than I'd like to
me
admit,
too.
because when you hear that somebody goes to the Walmart or the mall or the dance studio or wherever it might be, the
Hmm.
obviously the schools, and it makes me think, really we're pretty unprotected when we go to the
Yes,
racetrack.
and there's so many noises at the racetrack. It
It'd
would
be hard to
Would
know.
it? Yeah. Would we recognize what is happening?
Right.
You
I
know,
agree.
would we think? So we really have to have that conversation, and I think
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen within this next year here.
Yeah.
Um,
At least have a plan for what would you
hmm
do, and
yeah,
that
and all
is.
the tornadoes down south,
Oh
and
yeah.
all the water.
It's
It's a crazy
everywhere.
world. It's a
It
crazy
is.
world. We can't be prepared for everything, but we can
No,
try.
but we can do the best we can, and so
Yep.
we need
Yep.
to have the conversations, that's for sure.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, I appreciate you having me on, and
Thank you.
um, it looks like it might be. It's going to be a nice day out here too. So maybe I'll
Well,
get out and do something.
it's cloudy as normal in Michigan. Like I said, we have maybe a couple inches of snow on the ground. We're supposed to get about four more on Wednesday, I think. Which it's okay. It's January, we'll put up with it. But at least it's not minus 10 degrees. That's when it really gets bad. So I don't really mind.
Well,
I can sit here in my office, look out the window, and be nice and warm, and so I'm okay.
we, when I came back from mom and dad's, I was going to come back earlier, but we got another 8 inches, and I think they have over. They have over. At least 24 inches or
Oh
more.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Well, we
and
had that right at Christmas time.
yeah.
So we had probably 18 inches at Christmas time
Hmm.
in like 3 days time, and then the next week it warmed up to the 50s, and it was gone until this snow that came
Hmm.
yesterday. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you just don't know. We
no.
just don't know. So,
Well,
but thank you
Jackee,
again.
I'm appreciate you being on. I'm gonna stay in touch with you, and
Do that for sure.
anytime you have some names of some gals or little girls, big girls,
Hmm.
and they don't have to be drivers, they can
Right. Yeah.
be people that are just helping the sport. I'd love
Hmm.
for you to send them to me because I love telling their stories. So,
All
um,
right, I will do that.
thank you again, and have a good week and a good race season.
Thank you. You
All
too.
right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.